Namo Buddhaya, Namo Amitabha. Hello everyone. So today I feel like talking about the three bodies of the Buddha, the Trikaya. So for those who practice Mahayana Buddhism, this may be a term that you might encounter often. So Trikaya means the three bodies of the Buddha. So the Buddha has three bodies, the Dharmakaya, the Sabbokaya, and the Nimanakaya. So because I want to talk about the three bodies in detail, so in this video I will only talk about the Dharmakaya. So the Dharmakaya is the Dharma body. So Kaya means body. But it is not any of the physical body that we may think of. This really represents the ultimate reality, the Buddha nature in all beings, and the nature of emptiness in all things. It is formless, it cannot be grasped or obtained, but it can give rise to all forms. This is really the source of everything. So emptiness is the form, and form is emptiness, from the Heart Sutra. So quantum physicists nowadays also start to realize that our material reality is an illusion, which means that it's changing all the time, subject to our mind and our consciousness. So we all experience our own worlds, our realities, and our own illusions, depending on the qualities of our mind. And before how people think materials or matters are solid and fixed, but in fact they're not. The atoms that make up the matters, it can be divided, and if you keep dividing it, in the end you will be left with emptiness. Again, emptiness is not nothingness. Emptiness can give rise to all phenomena, all things. This is the source of everything. And the Dharmakaya is also the true nature of the mind, the true nature of the heart. So in Buddhism, the mind is also the heart. And when we talk about the mind and the heart, in Buddhism, we don't mean any of the physical organs. We don't mean the brain. It's much more beyond that. It's more like consciousness or awareness. But the individual mind consciousness is still a layer of illusions. Because we talk about how there is really no separate egoistic self. The ego self is an illusion. It cannot be obtained. So the individual consciousness, also the alaya consciousness we talk about in Buddhism, which is like a storehouse of consciousness, the storehouse of all the memories. This is also an illusion, because how can all the memories be real? So when we realize the perfect enlightenment, when we realize the Buddhahood, the storehouse consciousness, the alaya consciousness, will be transformed into perfect mirror-like wisdom. So the all-knowing wisdom. That is also the true nature of our mind, true nature of the heart. That is the one mind, the universal oneness in all things and all beings. This can be quite abstract and difficult to understand. One really has to experience to know. It is the inconceivable. This is not so easy to realize because our attachment to the self is strong. Our attachment is stubborn. Our separation is strong. The Buddha said we all have the same Buddha nature, but it's really due to delusions and attachment that we cannot realize. So our delusions, our attachment to delusions are very strong and difficult to get rid of. So that's why we don't actually experience reality as it is, the suchness of the reality. So in the sutra, the Buddha used many words to describe the same thing, such as the ones we just mentioned, the Buddha nature, emptiness, shunyata, true nature of the mind, true nature of the heart, and also sometimes true nature of the self. So if you read Mahayana Sutras, the Buddha also talk about the self nature. The true self nature is exactly the non-self, anatta. When we let go of the egoistic self, when we let go of all our attachment and separation, then we can realize this universal oneness, also called the true self. Again, this word is just used as a way of convenience. In Mahayana Sutras, you also see the Buddha talk about the true self nature. This really means the Buddha nature and also the non-self, anatta. So the doctrine of the true self and non-self are not contradictory if we understand what it means. So what is these qualities of the true self or the Buddha nature? So I like to quote the 6th Chan Patriarch Master Huineng here. From the Platform Sutra, he described this self-nature, the qualities of the self-nature. Again, this means the Buddha nature. So he said, the self-nature or the Buddha nature is originally pure. It is neither created nor destroyed. It is complete in itself. It is unmoving, and it can give rise to all dharmas. So all dharmas means all phenomena, physical and mental, everything in the existence. All is from the source of the Dharmakaya of our Buddha nature. Other words the Buddha used in the Sutra to describe this is also the Tathagata. So the Tathagata is a title given to the Buddha, which means the one who transcends all coming and all going. So this really represents the aspect of the Buddha nature. The Tathagata also means the Buddha nature, and also Tathagata. The Buddha nature transcends all coming and all going. It is no birth, no death, not created, nor destroyed. And there's no creator in this, no beginning, no end. It is originally here as it is, the suchness of the reality. Again, it is really beyond words. So it is really the indescribable, the inconceivable. The reason why the Buddha used so many words to talk about the same thing is exactly to tell us not to be attached to mere words, to mere concepts and definitions. All words, all talks are ways of convenience to point us to see the truth. It's like the Buddha uses the finger to point to the full moon. So the full moon is a metaphor for our Buddha nature. The fingers are like the sutras, the talks, all the words. The human language really has a lot of limitation when it comes to describe the indescribable. The absolute truth cannot be described. One has to experience to know. All words, all talks are simply ways of convenience. So do not just be attached to the fingers, but try to see the moon instead. But for all of us, in order to realize the Buddha nature, we need to first nianfo and attain rebirth in Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land. This is the easiest way for us to realize our Buddha nature, to realize infinite light and life. So another way to understand the Buddha nature is also infinite light and infinite life. It is boundless like the empty space, but what we know of as the empty space may be just like a piece of cloud compared to our Buddha nature. So even the observable universe can be just like a piece of cloud or a fine mote of dust compared to the infinite and boundless cosmos, the Dharma body, the Dharma realm, which means all worlds and all existence. So some people ask, is Shakyamuni Buddha and Amitabha Buddha the same being? So from the perspective of the Dhamakaya, yes, they are the same. One may also encounter the Buddha Vairocana from the Avatamsaka Sutra. So Vairocana also signifies the Dharmakaya of Shakyamuni Buddha. So Vairocana also means illuminator, illuminating everywhere. This is really the same meaning of Amitabha Buddha, infinite light, infinite life. So the source is all the same. From the same source, they can manifest different Sabhakaya, the bliss bodies of the Buddha, and Nirmanakaya, the physical incarnation bodies of the Buddha. The reason why there are so many different forms, it's also to help save different sentient beings, because we have attachment. So in accordance to our attachment and the separation, the Buddhas can manifest in different forms to help save different sentient beings. So in fact, we also have the same Dharmakaya with Shakyamuni Buddha, with Amitabha Buddha. So the Buddha told us that all the Buddhas of the 10 directions of the 3 ages, past, present, and future, all share the same Dharmakaya, the Dharma body, the Buddha nature. So the difference is that we haven't realized yet. We are still very much lived in our own delusions and our attachment and separation, whereas the Buddhas, they have realized the oneness in all things and all beings. So the easiest way for us to realize Buddhahood is to first yearn for and attain rebirth in Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land. So Shakyamuni Buddha told us that this is the easiest way, the quickest way for us to realize Buddhahood, and to realize infinite light and infinite life, the true nature of who we are in one lifetime. So this we'll talk more in the future, and in the next video, I'll also talk about the Sabukakaya, the bliss body of the Buddha, and the Nimanakaya, the physical incarnation body. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Amitabhaya.